Hello and welcome to our 7th episode of The Little Inside. My name is Tobi and today we're here to discuss the question of the week, which is, how do I know whether I'm taking myself too seriously? So let's take this question really seriously right after the intro. Taking ourselves too seriously very often leads to more suffering, because when we are taking something very seriously, the weight of what we are taking seriously obviously increases in our life. It then becomes very clear that once the weight increases, we have more to carry. If we are taking ourselves very seriously, then we are carrying a very big, very important self. That then often leads to situations where we are easily angered, outraged, defensive, easily offended, etc. Because my own opinions, my own views, my own thoughts, my feelings, and everything that pertains to this very important me has so much weight because I'm taking it so seriously. So everything we're taking seriously increases in weight, becomes more important, more dominant in our life. Now, taking something seriously, as I said before, means giving it importance, giving it weight. Now, if we do that with the practice of meditation, if that becomes something important in our lives, if that becomes something that has weight in our lives, then we're taking it seriously. But it will not lead to further suffering. In fact, it will lead away from suffering, and that's precisely the reason why we should take it seriously. But if meditation becomes another toy or another tool of the self, which we are taking very seriously, then it often ends up on the other side of the spectrum. It becomes like something like a burden. And so we sit down and we are very serious about our practice, and very serious about my religion, and very serious about my spirituality, and all that kind of stuff can develop from that. And this is a great suffering for people, because very often it turns into something like your own spirituality might become another mask of the ego. So you're putting on this very heavy spiritual mask, and you're looking through this spiritual mask at other people, and you judge them for being not so spiritual. You judge them for not being as good as a meditator as yourself, and so forth. And so it turns in this kind of absurd opposite of true lived spirituality, actually. It turns into another burden. And why is that? Because meditation is the tool of a self that takes itself very seriously. So I have seen a lot of people who are often feeling superior to others. They feel like, I'm following a very important meditative tradition, therefore I am very important, my views are very important, my opinions are very important, and it simply gives me the right to look down upon those who are not following my important meditative path. Now you see, that means you're taking yourself very seriously, and not really the practice of meditation, not really the spiritual message that is behind the practice of meditation. There becomes another tool of the self. So hopefully there is some point in our lives where we kind of recognize this sort of trap by really looking at ourselves with great honesty, seeing, aha, now that's what I'm doing here. Now the spiritual practice is all about actually seeing ourselves, isn't it? It's all about, really, meditation is all about seeing yourself with this kind of very great honesty. You see yourself as you really are. So if you see yourself as you really are, there is not much to add on to that. There's not much to make it bigger or smaller. It doesn't make any sense if you're really looking at yourself to make yourself bigger or smaller, to compare yourself to other people, etc. And so all these kind of things like taking ourselves so seriously will fall apart, because it can't be sustained if you're really mindfully, silently, just observing yourself. Now that should be taken seriously. This kind of spiritual practice should be taken seriously. Honestly looking at ourselves, that is what we should be pursuing with great importance and seriousness in our life, we can say. But taking ourselves very seriously, taking our views very seriously, I don't really think that does help our world a lot. If there are more and more people taking their views, their religion, their traditions, their meditation practice, or their worldly chores, or whatever they are doing more and more seriously, there will be more and more conflict in the world as a result. And you can easily see that and understand it, right? So that's why I say, take your meditation practice seriously, but don't take yourself seriously. And thereby we are avoiding the trap of identifying ourselves with our spiritual background, our spiritual paths. We're kind of becoming more naturally relaxed and also a bit more easy to be around. Now let's say you have seen yourself and you say, aha, here I'm taking myself too seriously. I'm meditating very seriously, and I'm a very spiritual person, like that. If you're taking yourself serious like that, what can you do? What's the remedy? Now the remedy is pretty simple. Reflect on impermanence. I will die. Know that very well. Know it not only intellectually, but try to really experience what that means on an emotional level, on the level of your feeling. How would it be if you're dying today, if that was your last day? Reflect on it. Really get into a state where you're feeling it. Does the self seem so important after such a reflection? Probably not that much anymore. Another thing to reflect upon is that every tool of the self, everything that you have and own, is also subject to impermanence. It will also go away after a while. So why hold on? Why get carried away by it? It's not that important. It's just like a temporary sort of toy that we have. Our job, our car, our houses, our spouses, our face, whatever it is, it's just a temporary thing. It's not that important. You could also reflect on size. Think of the universe. How big is the universe, the cosmos? How big is it? And how big are you in comparison? How big are our problems in comparison? It's a very famous kind of way of contemplating this. Sit down and actually deeply allow these thoughts to touch your heart, so that there is some sort of feeling response to it. And do that frequently, again and again, contemplate it. So it starts to sink from the brain into your heart. It becomes a sort of a new type of personality, a more relaxed, laid back type of personality. We're not taking ourselves so seriously anymore. Now, another thing that you could do is cultivating kindness. If you're taking yourself very seriously, very often then we lack the ability to see other people. And so by cultivating kindness, an open heart, a beautiful, kind, warm-hearted, friendly personality, we start to see other people, and we start to see that they, just like myself, they just want to be loved. They just want to be heard. They just want to be listened to. They want to be seen, just like myself. They want to feel important and meaningful. Their opinions want to be appreciated, just like my opinions want to be appreciated. By seeing that frequently, every day, again and again and again, a new sort of habit will emerge in your being. And that is by far less stressful as taking yourself and your views as being permanent and important, and you're kind of ready to fight for your own mental constructs. Very often we go to war with each other because we're fighting our own mental constructs, actually. In reality, there are no bad people out there other than the bad people that our own mind is fabricating, it is creating. I'm seeing badness in other people, so I need to go to war with them, I need to kill them, and so forth. That's because we're taking all these ideas in our heads so incredibly serious. We don't just see, it's just a thought, right? Or it's just an emotion. Why get caught up with it? Why not just let it pass? Why not just cultivate something that is a bit more beneficial than having a family split up over political views, our ideas in our head. So that should not be taken seriously at all. Thoughts, emotions, feelings, all that kind of stuff, it comes to go actually. It's arising and it is passing continuously as our life goes on. These kind of things will always be there. Sometimes you will feel fantastic, sometimes you will feel terrible, sometimes you have great thoughts, sometimes you have lesser thoughts and so forth. That is just normal in life. It's nothing to be taken too seriously. You can see it as almost like a dream. It's a little bit like a play in life. So if we reflect like this, contemplate like this, that would be the remedy to taking yourself too seriously. So this concludes our little insight for this week. I hope you enjoyed it and gave you some meaningful information. If you have any questions to ask for the next little insight, write it down in the comments below or write me an email if you like. You can find our guided meditations on SoundCloud. The link is right here. And if you're on Facebook, check out our page. So I hope that was a nice experience for you, and look forward to see you next week again, Wednesday as always. Have a great week. Bye-bye.